Welcome back to Bob Pearl Field here in Iowa City, Iowa, just outside the campus of the University of Iowa. We got Game 3 between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Iowa taking the first two games, winning the series, going for the sweep today on Star Wars Day. And what a day to have some softball. It's beautiful outside, no wind, low 60s. That is what I'm talking about. But we're up here in the AC in the booth. I'm Joel Keller alongside AJ Reister. And this is going to be a fun one. We've had a couple of tight games so far this series. Iowa able to pull it out.
Average and leads the team in almost every statistical category.
Now she's going to try and drop one out there in left field, but caught up to by Tatiana Roman. One of the studs of this defense that doesn't get talked about enough because of how good they are
this season.
Now 2-1 count, swung on. Popped up shallow right field. Devin Simon underneath, and a quick 2 outs for Jalen Adams out there.
Well, that's the soft contact we've talked about, back-to-back.
Had a big home run on Friday. Was really the only Scarlet Knight to jump on Adams. And here's a ground ball right up the middle, dribbling through this infield.
Well, she's been one of the hot bats this season. 277 average, has 40.
You know, we want to end on a good note and try and make the tournament and all that. Here's a ground ball. Jenna Young fields it. Flips it over to Sujin Berry for one, and that's all they need to get out of the inning. Hawkeyes working quickly. And this Rutgers team got one aboard, much like
for Harrison, her numbers are spectacular. An ERA just a shade over 2.5. Has 18 complete games. Has thrown over 174 innings and has 211 strikeouts to now 68 walks after that walk.
Jillian Anderson, who we saw in center field already at bat. Here's a ground ball picked up by the third baseman. Addie Osborne flings it over the first in time.
Catcher is hitting better, but if it's going to give a better chance for the pitcher to perform well, then that's what they're going to go with.
Rivera sends a ground ball over to shortstop, picked up by Huang over to first in time, and there goes Jenna Young over to third base on the throw. So now, much like the first inning yesterday, she's
ace, but also has that power. 5 home runs this year, 6 doubles, and 24 RBIs.
She wanted to add another one to that home run total with that swing, but it will swing and miss. Ella Harrison with her first strikeout, and that strands Jenna Young out there on third base.
Team has just got to give them time, let them have their at-bats and get to know the game of Big Ten softball.
And here's a freshman for the Knights swinging a pop fly out there. Jenna Young going over to first base to make the grab.
Going back to the conversation about this freshman class for Rutgers after this.
Stephanie Kraska lining one right up the middle. There's a redshirt freshman making some production today for the Scarlet Knights. We've seen her a little bit a lot of similarities between these two teams, with Iowa last year being that really young team in the Big Ten, playing some close games but never really able to get the job done. Hoekstra is going to pop out to Berry. And now this year it seems like Rutgers is like that. I definitely do not count either one of these teams out of the race next year. Both catching fire near the end of the season. Here's Osborne in a high fly ball out to dead center field. Tori Bennett having to run up a little bit for it, but makes the grab.
Give credit to Coach Golan, who actually gives all the credit to his players, because he said multiple times he would not have faulted them for just giving up after everything that happened at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and Sujin Berry will strike out there, but she's the Big Ten championships, and there's not a lot of additions since 2009. Here's a dribbler down over second base. Briggs picks it up, gets straightened out for the second out, but you got to think the goal for the Hawkeyes from here on out is to
where that leash is and be like, okay, I don't need to go to the bullpen right when they start to falter.
Here's a ground ball from Simon, picked up by Wong over to first base, and we're still scoreless through 2. A lot of soft contact so far today, not a lot of experience.
About how Iowa's needed rocks and consistency this season with how inconsistent a lot of things have been. They've been a couple of those consistencies in the outfield.
Avery Jackson's another one. There she is making a play at third base, getting the
from sophomore to junior year.
Full count here, 1 out. Pitch to Anderson, dribbled over to Jenna Young at second base, gets caught up to it easily. A collision there at first base. Stratton goes down. Hopefully she's all right out there. But the throw kind of took her into it. And it helps getting away from the contact at the plate. No more collisions there. Sujin Berry going back, making a play in the outfield, grabbing that pop fly for out number 3. And through 3 innings, Jalen Adams has been very, very leaderboards out there in Rutgers. 213 strikeouts now, and here she gets Avery Jackson out. She was trying to bunt to get on. Transition and a comfort for the D1 softball game. Here's a swinging bunt from Roman. Harrison will get out of the circle and make the play. And a quick 2 outs for Harrison. I mean, both these pitchers are
really who has been really consistent today, but Jenna Young is one of those consistency killers.
And she's going to take ball 4. She got up to a 3-0 count, took a couple strikes, but ends up getting the free pass to first. That's 2 up. How important it was for the girls playing softball in middle school, high school, even in Little League to see successful teams in the state and knowing that they can stay here and compete. Jenna Young is going to go ahead and swipe second base, get an extra 60 feet on that.
You can really just about throw anything you want here.
Here it comes, full count, going way up high, a little too high, and that'll walk Tori Bennett. Hawkeyes have 2 runners on.
Well, one thing that we've learned about this Rutgers pitching staff,
that they got to do schoolwork too, and I don't play a sport here, but I mean, schoolwork is it's a lot of stuff.
My arm gets tired taking notes.
Yeah, sometimes my hand will cramp, you know. Rivera draws a walk, and now the bases are juiced for the Hawkeyes.
Just missed.
So 2-2 here comes inside as well. That'll actually touch Hannah Lindsay's knee. Harrison doesn't think it did, but that brings home a run, and the Hawkeyes take the early lead.
Well, Hannah Lindsay certainly crowds the plate a little bit. Knee, and Butler immediately comes out of the dugout. You see her, she doesn't really give any effort to take the step back, but she was already in motion of swinging, and she was able to hold back, and just that step was enough, and the ball ended up hitting her knee. But again, if it's in the strike zone, that's still called. And right now, Ella Harrison's throwing a no-hitter, as everything's been a free base.
Well, this one's going to end that. Sujin Berry to the wall. That's going to bring home 2, possibly 3. You see Gollin, he's thinking about sending Hannah Lindsay, but gave it a stop sign. But 2 more runs come across on that double from Sujin Berry.
Well, the stat line doesn't look as weird, but a big spot for Sujin Berry, and she laces it down the right field line to score a couple more insurance runs. A big swing, and now the Hawkeyes lead by 3, and Berry, again, she's been one of the more clutch hitters and has the big bat, leads the team in home runs and RBIs, and picks up a couple more for the sophomore.
Base hit here would score 2 most likely, and would give the Hawkeyes a big 5-run cushion. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss outside, up top. Hoekstra sends Stratton packing, but the Hawkeyes put 9. And L.A. Matthews already 1 for 1 today. Has had a single out there in the first, and she's going to send a drive out to center field. A high one at that, but Tori Bennett will settle in underneath and make the play.
Well, she had the height, just way player. Last year she made 15 appearances as a pitcher, but this year has been converted more to first base.
She's going to send a drive just past the glove of Tori Bennett. But out there, the helper out there is Tatiana Roman. She's got a good backup and holds Engel of the ball game in all areas. Apologies for the technical difficulties there with the green coloring. But a pop out, Avery Jackson makes the play, now 2 away. And yet again, Jalen Adams into existence. Hopefully this time next year we'll have seen it in a game. Here's a sharp line drive. Jenna Young makes the grab though at second base. Ends the inning for the Hawkeyes. Keeps Rutgers off the board. They still lead this one 3-0 after 3. And Jalen Adams has been exceptional today, keeping runners at their first base and never making it across home.
They have the chance to put together a couple of wins and make a little bit of a run. They're going to need Talia Tretton.
Yeah, and they're right on the bubble. Here's a high fly ball, just a little too much air underneath it for Devin Simon. Be caught out there by Kelsey Riggin, who also is a new.
With how good, especially Jalen Adams and Talia Tretton have been, how electric they've been to watch. You got to think that having those two at the top of the pitching staff is something that the committee will look at too as being a potential.
Devin Greer, Riley Moss, and Hannah Lindsay joining her and having a little bit of a celebration yesterday. Riley Moss, she was a big part of the offense last year. Unfortunately got hurt at the end of the year and now never really was able to
lead off.
Yeah, and she's lived up to that real well. And then on base percentage up at 44. Here's a swing out to left field. Line drive biting down, but hanging up just long enough for Hoekstra to help out her sister.
It'll be interesting to see after today how it all shakes out.
A 3-2 swung on by Hoekstra. Out to center field. Tori Bennett had to put a good run on it, running in on that shallow ball that really just died out.
And Adams, her off speed has really gotten a lot better this year, and we've seen a lot more of those swing and misses because of it.
There's another strikeout there for Adams. We haven't seen too much of them.
Time she faces the team.
The 2-1, sharp grounder over to Jenna Young. She's got no problem with it. Throws it over to Bowman at first. And another quick inning of work for Jalen Adams. 1-2-3 this time, and her first strikeout of the ball game.
Inning and drive in some of those runs, especially when you're consistently putting them on the base paths.
The 2-2 grounded over to third base. Osborne fields it. Throws over to first in time. First out of the inning.
Just take first base. You have eventually you have to have those doubles, triples, and home runs. You have to have those extra base hits because you can't just always play the small ball. Softball's an interesting game. She
got to home really quickly after the error. And now here's a blooper just dropping down right out past Briggs at second base, who is running back in the shallow right field. And now the Hawkeyes have two aboard with one away.
Over there, but Bowman ended up coming in, and she's still in the lineup, it looks like.
There he gets a hold of one just a little too high. And trying to tag up his Carvaca. The throw beating her by a mile. But the slide may have gotten underneath. Gollin instantly asking for a review, and another review here.
It's going to have to be clear and obvious here if she end up sliding in safely, as the ball got there way ahead because she hesitated. She originally didn't take off for third. She hesitated, which
they have a picture, a funny picture of him telling someone to slide, and he's all the way on the ground. So the call comes in, the runner is out, and the inning is over with that inning ending.
Good holds from Anderson, but a good spot from Adams. All of her pitches outside of the zone have been very competitive today.
Yeah, she's making them think. This one, though, not as close to the strike zone, up there near her chin, and she takes first the game out there in the bullpen watching from afar as Adams is able to clutch it up like she does here. Gets some weak contact, popped up. Barry makes the play, and there's one. Actually happened in the sixth inning, and here we are. This time that Matthews hits not going to go over the fence, so it's going to end up right in Sujin Barry's glove. Yet again, a couple of soft little pop flies for Barry. Two away. Anderson will be running on the pitch. Here it comes. And a swing and a miss. Jalen Adams gets another strikeout. That's her second of the day, but she has been phenomenal, stranding all these runners. That get not quite 50-50. Apparently the heads is a little more common. Or that might just be something that I heard.
What about tails wrong. Never fails? You never heard that one?
I mean, I heard that, but I don't know if there's any science behind it. Apparently there's a little more weight on the head. So
where did you ball in play, walk off?
And now here's a drive to center field. Going back to the track is the center fielder Anderson, and she makes the play at the wall. Had her hands stepped out to make sure she didn't run into the wall, which that ball had some good velocity on that hit. Just needs to straighten out. She'll dribble it out there to Wong, over to second in time, but the throw to first get away from her, and Avery Jackson's going to go ahead and take second base, and thought about third as the throw goes by her. Briggs at second base, looking like the Bad News Bears out here. Wong there, and Jackson went ahead and take third, and now she is trying to go again, and the ball gets past Osborne at third, and here comes Jackson to score. She gets on base with a fielder's choice and then ends up coming around on a couple of throwing errors by the Rutgers defense.
I mean, was on the far side of the bag and was on the inside part of the bag and just got away from Osborne and ended up being an easy score.
Now a sharp ground ball from Roman. Fielding it is Wong over to first in time, but the Hawkeyes will add one more insurance on that. Avery Jackson. Note, Hawkeye fans, next year when we have Star Wars Day, let's dress up a little. Let's get some fake lightsabers in the crowd.
I think that'd be great.
Here's Haley Stripling grounding that right at Jalen Adams, and Adams makes a play, proving the point. There we go. Iowa staff helping us out. Here's a high fly ball from Kraska. Coming over to get it in from right field is Devin Scheiman. So now 2 outs, 1 out away for Jalen Adams. And the Hawkeyes have kept Rutgers off the scoreboard. So here's the full count pitch. 2 away here. Swing on and driven out to center field. Tori Bennett fields it out there, gets the third and final out, and the Hawkeyes will complete the sweep behind some amazing performances in the circle from Jalen Adams and Talia Tretton.
Yeah, Jalen Adams, her 20th complete game of the season, her 5th shutout of the year, and what a day and what a weekend for this Hawkeye pitching staff and Iowa. Their most conference wins since 2012, as they will close out the regular season 35-17 and 15-7 in Big Ten play and get ready for the Big Ten tournament. What a weekend to close out for the senior class for the Hawkeyes. Rutgers, their season is done.